So time for an update on the drum and bass track. Last time where I left it, I felt that the build-ups and the sort of gaps in between the breakdowns were not quite big enough. So I wanted to add some sort of riser to it. So I've got this Monotron Duo, and it's basically a dual oscillator ribbon synth analog. So if I do this, this has got a cross modulation. This is just with one of the oscillators, the other oscillator is just modulating it. So I've recorded that in for the build-up, which you can hear here. That's what this sound is. So on top of that, I've just added a little bit of reverb, a phaser, a compressor, and it's filtered coming in. I've also added another sort of bass growl, and that's to go with the initial one. So here's the original sort of sound we got. And then I've added this, and that's chopped up in various places. That was made on Europa as well. So let's see if I can find that. I'm not going to be able to find it right now. I also played around with the mix quite a lot because I felt like it wasn't how I wanted it to sound. It didn't sound at all like there was much impact. So what I've done is I've copied this track here that I like, and I've tried to replicate the mix. So I've done that for the drums, which required me to add an extra sort of break with the hi-hats, and that needed a lot more top end. So now the drums sound like this. So if we flick between, we can hear how they're similar. So from there, I have recorded the whole drum track and bounced it down into one audio track, stereo of course, and from there I have chopped into it for the breaks. This is because if I go onto there, there's lots of tiny little audio samples, and to affect them all together would be extremely difficult. So by recording it into audio, I can now just chop and change the full track as one. So I had to get the mix right for that first. So as you can see, I've inserted like a few fills. Things like that. I also played around with some other sounds, but I've decided to take them out because I didn't feel like they were appropriate for the track. Here's one of them here. Let's just solo that. So just like a little zap sound, but it was supposed to go in between the bass growls. Just felt like it was maybe a bit too much. It's also taken, I've gone through and I've taken out quite a lot. Stuff that didn't really provide much towards the track. I wanted to take as much out as I could so that I had space to fill out the frequency range. Which I think it does a bit more now. It still needs tweaking. Where am I here? Vocals. I've had a play with some vocals and considered adding them in. So let's just play the track as it is without the vocals, and we'll have a look at that. So as you can hear, as it goes into that section, it sounds a bit thin, and it does build back up because the strings and the brass section build the bass back in. So you'll hear here the bass starts to come in again. So there's that, and then in the second breakdown before the second drop, I've got a piano which I've added in. That could probably do with being a tad louder. Now, what you'll notice as well is that the drums are actually a little bit loud at the moment. And the reason I've done that is because when I get around to the full-on sort of mixing stage and eventually mastering, I want the drums to slightly compress the rest of the track. So I want the impact of the drums to be felt within the other instruments, and it's kind of going to behave almost like a side chain for the master, but it won't be that extreme. So let me just show you what I mean. If I put a limiter on, this is not how it's going to be done when I've completed the track, but just for sort of demonstration purposes. If I go back to the drop, so it sort of brings everything down to the same level. That's probably a bit more extreme than it needs to be, but you get the effect a bit more if I show you like that. And then I've got these vocals here which I've added in, and at the moment I'm sort of unsure as whether I want to keep them or not. the idea was to see if it filled out part of the frequency spectrum that I wasn't sort of happy with, something around sort of the 1 to 2k kind of area. It kind of does, but I'm not sure these are the vocals I want to use, so I might record something different. The ones that are on here are from a purchased sample pack at the moment, which I've stretched to fit, and I've pitched them so that they work in the same key as this track. So with the vocals in, so I think the sort of melody of the song and everything is nice. I just feel like she sounds a little bit too relaxed for the intensity of the music. I've added this as well. This is just like a little synth melody, but I've decided to remove it afterwards. It might go in later, but with a different sound. So we've got this section. Reminds me a little bit of sort of old pendulum sort of music, that, but I think that sound has aged a little bit, so probably not ideal for something a bit more modern like this. That being said, even this, the style sort of is reminiscent of stuff that was around in 2010 to 15 really. The sort of liquid tech drum and bass sound has it's not disappeared completely, but there's less of it now than there was. But anyway, that's all I've got to show you for now. The next stage is just delicate adjustments of the EQ and sort of more mixing, and then going into the mastering phase. So I need to find myself some good mastering plugins, because I haven't got the right metering sort of available to me at the moment. And that's it really. If I decide to add vocals, I'll record them or find another pack where I can start playing around with them. I might use sections of this vocal, but not the main song itself. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.